Corsair just took over Fanatec. That's right, Corsair just acquired Endor AG, which is, or was, the parent company to Fanatec. And in my opinion, this should actually be cause for a bit of hope for Fanatec users. Now, some people think Fanatec is already finished. Corsair is just going to go in there and take their assets and technologies and port it all over to a Corsair branded sim racing situation. And while that certainly remains a possibility, I tend to think that it's quite unlikely. And as a longtime fan of sim racing, I personally do hope that a classic brand like Fanatec can weather this storm and stay around. This video is brought to you by SimSportGadget. So again, a lot of people are wondering if Fanatec as a brand name will disappear, and well, if history is any guide, probably not, because this is not Corsair's first time going through this whole brand acquisition thing, and they've actually already done a fair number of these acquisitions over the past several years. And the ones that I think are the most relevant to this Fanatec situation are Elgato in 2018, Origin PC in 2019, and Drop in 2023. And yeah, post-acquisition, Elgato is still Elgato, Origin PC is still Origin PC, and Drop is still Drop. Now, some of you might remember Drop as Smash Drop, which was the company's original name, but that name change happened in 2019, well before Corsair's acquisition, so there's actually no relationship there. But yeah, anyhow, there's a pattern when it comes to these Corsair acquisitions, right? So these companies, they retain their branding, and then they still essentially sell and make the same kinds of things that they used to, which is kind of the point, right? Corsair is just coming in and taking control over an existing infrastructure of design, manufacturing, and fulfillment, and also taking advantage of an established brand presence, which saves a lot of work for them, you know, because people like familiar things, right? So if, for instance, they start selling Corsair Stream Decks, people might be like, well, what are those? And then they would look at the Elgato ones and be like, well, at least I know what those are, and then they'd buy the Elgato ones. And it's a similar thing with Drop, where people already know what they do and how they do it. There's an existing reputation there, and then there's the whole infrastructure of order fulfillment, web platforms, and again, in the case of Drop, some pretty unique manufacturer relationships. So, Corsair gets all of these goodies and doesn't have to try to break into those markets fresh as a direct competitor. And if I were to guess, the same thing is probably going to happen with Fanatec. Because it's actually been very clear that Corsair is intent on entering the sim racing industry, and the most significant way they've demonstrated that intention, apart from all this Fanatec stuff, has been the announcement of this sim racing cockpit. And now, with the acquisition of Fanatec, they suddenly have access to a fully developed pipeline for wheelbases, steering wheels, and pedals, and not to mention any proprietary technologies they had or are developing. Then there's even the licensing agreements that Fanatec has with Xbox and PlayStation. So yeah, there's quite a lot of valuable IP and material resource bundled up in there. Now, it is no secret that Fanatec has not been in a good place for quite a while now, so Corsair will have to be taking those things on as well. There's been pretty notable issues with customer support, product availability and delivery times, and very, very slow product development cycles. So Corsair will certainly have to do quite a bit of housekeeping and brand reputation repair. And this might mean some internal restructuring, but again, I don't think this would actually have too much of an effect on existing Fanatec customers, at least in the sense of their Fanatec products suddenly becoming obsolete or losing all support. Because unless Corsair somehow truly decides that the existing problems Fanatec has are not worth fixing, despite all the potential upsides, Fanatec will essentially remain Fanatec, just hopefully with a better management system, 70 million less euros of debt, and one less fancy headquarters building to build. And this speculation does seem to line up with Corsair's actions so far. So like I mentioned before, they have a history of carrying out their brand acquisitions in similar ways, and they also granted a 4 million euro loan to Endor AG earlier in the year to help stabilize the company and keep Fanatec afloat. Not only that, the official statement released by Endor indicates that Corsair will take over all active employment contracts of Endor AG, so the existing Fanatec employees have retained their jobs for now. So yeah, to me, it feels like there's a good chance of things moving forward with Fanatec staying alive as a brand. But yeah, that about does it for me today. I'm curious and hopeful to see if Corsair can right the Fanatec ship, and bring some much needed life back to the brand. Who knows, with Corsair's backing and supply chain capacities, maybe Fanatec can become more accessible globally. Perhaps we'll even start seeing their products in brick and mortar shops like Best Buy and Micro Center, and maybe, just maybe, that Bentley wheel will finally come out. We'll be keeping an eye out for any further developments in the Fanatec story, and we'll certainly be sure to update you guys as well. But for now, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out our sim racing accessories and products at SimSportGadget.com, and thank you so much for watching the video. We'll catch you in the next one.